This is Scheme Design Part 4. So in this session, we're going to be thinking about training of mentors and coaches. So some possible content ideas. First of all, you need to have a good introduction which gets participants talking. So think about some kind of activity where they can pair off with each other and share information and talk to each other. In this way, they will start to talk. Gather that from them as part of the course, as part of the workshop that you are running with them, so that you've got an idea of what they've talked about, and try to make it something relevant to them and relevant to the coaching or the mentoring. Also, as you would do with coaching and mentoring, establish ground rules of the workshop session. Get the participants to think about that. Think about the way in which you deliver. Try not to make it a teaching or training session as such. Try to make it discursive. Ask people questions. So what you're doing is demonstrating mentoring and coaching skills whilst facilitating the program. An important first step is to spend some time discussing what mentoring and coaching might be, what it means to them, what it might involve, and trying to get some kind of agreed position between you as to what it might be within the context of their own organisation. Then the next stage is to be thinking about actually contracting within the coaching and mentoring process. So actually get them to do it, get them to practice it, do it in threes so that one is the coach, one is the coachee, one is the mentor, one is the mentee, and the other person observes and provides feedback on what it is they are noticing. Move them round in groups of three so they all have a turn. In that way, they will start to get experience of establishing the ground rules and start to recognise how valuable this can be. Introduce them to process models. Introduce them to the three-stage process and introduce them to GROW. Choose which one you're going to do first. Don't do them both at the same time. So you introduce, let's say, the three-stage process. You go through it theoretically. Then you give them an opportunity to practice. Practice again in threes, perhaps different threes. And each one takes it in turn to be the coach or the mentor, using the three-stage process, and the third person observes and gives feedback on what they notice in terms of how the process works or in terms of the skills that are being demonstrated. Once everybody's had a turn, then introduce the idea of the key skills and key techniques which may fit within the three-stage process. Give people an opportunity to practice those. Then let's say you're introducing the GROW process. Go through it piece by piece, give the background, and then give people an opportunity to practice it. Again, lay the skills on top and the techniques and get them to think about that and practice it. And when you've done that, you then can start comparing and contrasting the benefits of the three-stage process and the benefits of the GROW process, and some of the problems of the GROW process and some of the problems of the three-stage process. In this way, they will start to develop critical thinking about these and decide on how best to make use of a process model. Explain to them that a process model is a bit like a map, and what a map does is help them to find where they are and help them to find out where they are when they've got lost, change direction, or change the route. So lots and lots of practice is very important. Practice with feedback. And it may be appropriate, if you've practiced your coaching and mentoring skills sufficiently, to do a live demonstration. Get people to discuss it, ask them what they notice. And after the session, however long it might be, say one day or half a day, set them a challenge to mentor or coach somebody between the end of this session, the session that you've done with them, and the next one. And when you start the next session, ask them what it is they experienced, what it is they are noticing, and debrief them on it. Research shows that mentors and coaches need about 25 hours of training and supported skills practice before they feel sufficiently confident. And remember, we're also talking about training for coachees and mentees. It's a core condition. So what might that look like? Well, discuss with them what mentoring is or what coaching is within the context of the business. Explain to them the nature of the scheme, its purpose, and who might be involved. Discuss where it might fit within your organizational structures. Make sure you do a session in the same way that you did with coaches and mentors on the ground rules. The mentees and the coaches need to understand that ground rules play an important part in the whole process. And have a discussion with them about finding a coach or a mentor. And again, this is something we'll look at later when we start thinking about the matching process. And research shows that mentees and coaches need only about 3 hours training. So you're talking about a morning or an afternoon.